Hello again. This video that I hope you're about to watch is going to be a re-edited and re-uploaded video. For one simple reason. This actual recording was made in 2017, and all of a sudden YouTube has decided to give me a copyright strike on 22 seconds of music that I used to demonstrate the repaired loudspeaker, which incidentally is a Wharfedale E90, which I owned for many years but no longer have them. So the option was, what should I do? Should I just leave it and to hell with it, let them take the money from it, or shall I re-edit it? But when I actually looked at the results from it, bearing in mind the video is 7 odd years old, if my maths are correct, probably not, but it's quite an old video. But when I look at it, because it was uploaded so many years ago, I was earning about 33 cents a month from the video, and out of that I pay American tax and New Zealand tax. So my first reaction was, can I live without that 22 cents? And of course I can. But re-looking at the video, it's actually, if you'll permit me to blow my own trumpet, it's actually quite a good video. And I say that with due modesty because I have produced a few less than wonderful videos in the past. But this is actually quite a good video, and even I enjoyed watching myself again after all these years, because I don't normally revisit my videos once I've made them, because I can't stand watching myself on the screen. I'm sorry you have to, but so anyway, it's now going to be uploaded again, less the final music demonstration, but I still think you'll find it a good video, and I hope you'll enjoy watching it. Any references, by the way, to a character named Darren may no longer be valid because he was the distributor of the replacement parts. So contact him by all means, but I don't think he's in business any longer. It's just entertainment, so enjoy it. Thank you for returning to my channel for a look. I appreciate it. You may have seen the video I made previously about these Wharfedale E90 loudspeakers, so I don't propose to go over any of the details again, other than to say of late I've noticed that the left channel, which is the one you're looking at here, doesn't sound as detailed as the one on the right hand side. It's about time to do some investigation and see what's going on. And the way I'm going to do this is to use white noise. Most people don't realize it, but they have a white noise generator at home. And this is it. It's called an FM receiver. If you tune between stations, I think most people are familiar with the noise that you get. And whilst it's not an accurate white noise as you'd get from a signal generator, it's certainly good enough for this application. And I'm using it primarily to demonstrate to you the issue I have with these speakers. It's quite hard to describe what appears to be wrong with these, other than there seems to be a lack of detail of sound. Now what I'm going to do is, with the white noise, I'm going to put the camera, I don't know how well this is going to come out, very close to each of the units and compare them. So let's try that. If I place the unit next to here and then compare it with the one below, now, depending on how clearly that came out, it's fairly evident that the lower unit is producing less than half the amount of mid-range as the top unit. Now, if you refer to the circuit diagram, which is amazingly hard to see because it's faded over the years, but this is the mid-range collections, and there are two units, as you saw, and they are connected in series. So that means although this one isn't working, the voice coil is not open circuit, because if it was, this one wouldn't work. So I think the next thing to do is to put the speaker on the floor on its back, and we'll take out this unit and see what the issue is. Right, the front grille just pops off. We need a Phillips screwdriver, and I'll take these screws out. What we're going to find. Right, let's take him out. Right, the first thing we're going to do is just check the DC resistance. We know it's got continuity, because otherwise the other unit wouldn't work. But let's have a look at its DC resistance. 3.8 ohms. So the voice coil is intact. So why doesn't it work? That is its DC resistance. It's not its impedance. The impedance is supposed to be 4 ohms on this. So its DC resistance on this occasion is pretty close to its AC resistance, if you like. Right, let's just have a look. I can see the problem. The cone is completely welded itself to the voice coil. There is no movement in that cone whatsoever. Yes, as you can see, there is no movement on that cone whatsoever. Now, you wouldn't expect a great deal of movement on a mid-range unit because it hasn't got to move phenomenal quantities of air like a bass unit has. If you look at the bass unit in here, if I press the cone lightly, you can clearly see there's a great deal of movement. But on this little beast, it's completely welded itself to the, well, I'm not sure what's happened to it, whether the voice coil has over time distorted and just stuck to the magnet, but eventually I think I'll pull this apart and see if we can see what's actually happened. So what are we going to do? These units haven't been manufactured for some 30 years. So do I throw the cabinet away? Well, the answer is no, we don't. We look on the internet and we find a character called Darren. Now, he has the last remaining stocks from Wharfedale and also does refurbished kits and replacement units. So I've been in contact with Darren and I've ordered 4 replacement mid-range units. They have arrived, and to be fair, they've arrived very quickly because I'm in New Zealand and these came from England, and Christmas and New Year has been in between, so we've lost 4 days of that. Anyway, that we won't worry about that. This is the unit, and I have 4 of them. They look slightly different, as you'd expect, and They're actually manufactured by KEF. Well, I say manufactured, I think that's possibly optimistic. I suspect they're made in China. But Darren did tell me that they are in fact made by KEF. Now, as the unit comes, clearly it wouldn't normally come with this metal bezel to match the Wharfedales. So this is something that Darren's people have done, and it's very similar, aluminium with a brush finish, and it's glued on, which initially I was a little skeptical about, but this glue is harder than hard. I mean, it is very hard. There's no way that's ever going to come off or vibrate on there. So full marks. So let's actually make a comparison between them. Now, if you remember, the original unit had a DC resistance of 3.8 ohms. So let's just see what this is. 3.5, 3.6 ohms, so very slightly different DC resistance. Construction is somewhat different. They both are a casting, aluminium, I would imagine. If I had a magnet, I would prove it, but I haven't. Ironic when there's a magnet on the back, but there we go. On the original Wharfedale unit, the front is actually pressed onto the original chassis, or it could actually be the original chassis which has just been machined, whereas a replacement is clearly a separate drive unit glued onto a facial plate. The aluminium ring is also slightly thinner. Let's just have a look at the difference in the weight. This is the original Wharfedale unit, and that's coming in at 996 grams. The replacement unit, somewhat lighter at 700 grams. Now, I've already removed the other mid-range unit, and I wanted to show you how it should look if I can do it on camera without making a mess of it. Let's try this. You can see it clearly can move, as opposed to the other one which is completely locked up. Now, believe it or not, all this, it's called baff wadding, was stuffed inside the port here, and I've taken it out. I'm just going to fluff it up a little bit and replace it, making sure you hold the wires. The port actually goes down the full size of the cabinet right to the bottom, but the wadding needs to be fairly loosely placed. What you don't want is for any of the wadding to touch the back of the cone. So I've fluffed it up and left it probably about, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches from the top of the cabinet. Now it just remains to tin the wires and solder the units back in. Right, that's the wires tinned. Now we tin the terminals. Now it's very important that polarity is observed. It clearly shows a plus on there, which means the black needs to go on here. So now we'll screw it back in. We need to make sure the wires are tucked down so they can't touch anywhere and vibrate. That's the job on the first speaker complete. I'm now going to stand it up, plug it in, and let's have a listen. Well, they're all up and running. They seem to be of equal sensitivity, although they do have a different characteristic. I'm going to stop now and do the other speaker, which I won't film because it's absolutely identical. Now you'll notice that the high attenuator is down -1. I've always operated them on there, on that position, because I've always found the HF very slightly bright. Since I've done this modification, it's the same, which is what you'd expect, to be honest, because I haven't touched the tweeter. And I found with the white noise there was a more pronounced HF. So I put that back to where it normally runs at -1, which is actually -1 dB, so it's a very, very small amount. Well, on the grounds that this unit is not functioning and is never likely to, I'm going to operate. Now, this is probably where I impale myself, as Big Clive would say, when he's not down at the pound shop. So we're making an incision here. And we're exposing the major arteries. I think we need to cut off the voice coil. Where's the other one? There we go. Sorry, my hand's in the way here. Right. Now by rights that should just lift out, but it clearly won't. So a little bit of, oh dear, cut round where the spider is now, so there's literally nothing holding it in, but it don't want to come out. Well, there's the voice coil. And it is literally welded. There we go. Well, it's actually broke in two. The remaining coil is inside there. As you can see, I can unwind it. Now, why that has actually locked in there? Goodness me, there's a lot of turns on here. Now I've broken it completely. But that will just not come out of there, will it? I think I'm going to need a persuasion tool. Oh, wait a minute. I think we may be. So this side of the voice coil is free, but it seems to be jammed here somehow. Come out! This does look dangerously like impaling time, doesn't it? Goodness me. Well, there's no way of telling why it's stuck now because I've completely destroyed it. There's still some in there. Look at this. In fact, it kind of looks like the voice coil may have... There's still some in there. And it does seem to be loose, but jammed in that piece there. So what's actually happened, I have no idea. I can't get it out. And I suppose I could also say, who cares? I think I might send this back to Darren and see if he can mend it. Yes. All right. I think we'll call that a day from now. So look forward to doing some more work on this speaker in the near future. Thanks for watching. It's most appreciated.